Hey everybody, it's BJ Murphy, publisher of Neuse. I'm excited to have our state representative Chris Humphrey here with me today. I've also spoken with Senator Jim Perry. Wanted to have a conversation about the budget, some things that are happening now that pretty much the session is over. Chris, great to have you, sir.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. You've served in the House since 2018, served Lenoir, Greene, and Jones counties. In fact, you're chair of the Insurance Committee, which seems like a pretty relevant position for you to be in. Tell us how things have gone in Raleigh this year.
Yeah, it's been hectic. It's been chaotic, and at times it's just been I don't know, kind of a zoo-like atmosphere. Just trying to get scheduling pinpointed is tough in Raleigh. I don't know why that is the case, but from one week to the next, we don't know whether we'll be in session or not. So you got to prepare accordingly.
Right. Well, I know you finally passed the budget about a little over a week ago, and I reached out to you and Senator Perry, and it was like, look, it sounds like the governor's not going to sign it. And then he came out with a statement that says, overall, this is a bad budget that seriously shortchanges our schools, prioritizes power grabs, keeps shady backroom deals secret, and blatantly violates the Constitution, and many of its provisions will face legal action, and this budget will become law without my signature. And then you, in a joint statement with Senator Perry, said, we've delivered North Carolina a fiscally conservative budget, one that's sound investments in education, economic development, infrastructure. Sound like you two aren't on the same page of how you view this budget.
Well, there's no such thing as a perfect document. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Some people are going to like it, some aren't. But overall, trying to help out 10.5 million North Carolina citizens is tough. And this budget hits the highlights. I mean, it funds education at record numbers. Mental health allocations are greater than ever. Workforce development, pay raises for teachers and state employees. State troopers get 11% pay raise. I mean, there's just so many good things in the budget, far outweigh the bad. I mean, there's some items in there that I'm not crazy about, but we expanded Medicaid to cover hardworking families that are working their butts off trying to make ends meet and helping farmers, veterans, single parents. It covers pretty much everybody in this state.
Well, and think about some of the local appropriations. Like in Greene County, for example, a little over $4 million for town of Snow Hill for water and wastewater infrastructure projects. How important is money like that for counties like Greene?
Well, it's important for towns all over North Carolina. I think we put $2 billion in a water and sewer segment there to help small rural towns in North Carolina pay their bills and fix the dilapidated systems, old antiquated systems, and small towns just can't do it anymore because their populations are generally decreasing while people are moving to urban areas, and so this helps Greene County. It helps. There's a water project in Pollocksville that'll partner with Craven County to develop some industrial area there that's right on the Craven-Jones line. And the city of Kinston's going to get some help with some flood mitigation here.
Right, I wanted to talk to you about that because I know also Hookerton got some money in here for similar stuff. In Jones County specifically, you had a little over $10 million for water treatment improvements there. Town of Maysville, $6 million for capital improvements, and then a Jones County Wellness and Fitness Center, $1.5 million. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, they don't have any facilities in Jones County, and they approached us, myself and Senator Brent Jackson, who's my partner in Jones County and a senior appropriations chairman in the Senate, which makes a big difference. Having Senator Perry and Senator Newton and Senator Jackson as partners really make my job a lot easier because they have 50 members, we have 120, so we're all jockeying for some local appropriations, and that helps. But Jones County doesn't have a center per se to for the residents to enjoy. So this will help them hopefully help make Jones County healthier.
All right. Now, actually, I just had a recent conversation with outgoing Kinston-North County Parks and Rec Director Corey Povar, who's moving to Arizona, and we actually discussed how blessed we are in our own county, Kinston-North County, about our recreation department. And to see this going into Jones, it sounds like a good thing. Now, let's talk about Lenoir County for a second. I mean, the big win for the Global Trans Park, almost $380 million being invested out there from the state. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. We've been waiting, 30 years to see some real activity. I mean, we've had the last 10 years or more, we've with Spirit and Jim Seagrave and Fly Exclusive doing what they've been doing in other entities out there. But this military project is huge. I mean, it's going to basically bring airplanes from Cherry Point over to Kinston, and it's going to create several thousand jobs. I mean, it's going to put us on the map. This is a deal with the U.S. government that we're investing $350 million, but they're going to pay us back over 15 to 20 years. So it's a net gain for Lenoir County and the region. I mean, it's real big for Eastern North Carolina.
I would imagine then, folks like, Senator Tillis would have been heavily involved in those kind of conversations.
Senator Tillis, Senator Budd, Representative Murphy, Representative Don Davis. I mean, it was a whole, partnership. I mean, and other players throughout the state.
It's great to see that finally clicking on a lot of fronts. Now let's talk a little bit more. You with all General Assemblies, I mean, you have some bills that you vote for, some that you introduce, some you're a primary sponsor of, some you're the first name as a primary sponsor. A couple of those were you had Maysville and Pollocksville elections, as well as the Consumer Credit Card Protection Act. What can you tell us about those two?
Well, the town of Maysville and Pollocksville and basically Walstenburg and Hookerton did as well. They want to move their elections to even number years to cut down on cost. You're familiar with that as being mayor of Kinston. You know that municipalities have to pay for these things, and they hope to generate more interest, because when you have even year elections, presidential year, you got greater turnout. So they both counties approached me about introducing a bill to make those elections even years, which makes sense. Nobody opposed it. Went through pretty easily. We missed I think we missed a town, and I don't know if it was Trenton or somebody in Jones County. We had to put them in another. We had to put them in another bill. But I think the Jones County towns will take effect. The Greene County towns will take effect in 2026, I believe, because they've already printed ballots for this.
Is this you're right, because I mean the turnout during our mayoral elections, I mean we were lucky if we got 25%, but in an election year that you're running, you're going to get 65-75% of the vote to turn out. So is this a trend you're seeing across the state?
Yeah, there's a lot of local municipalities that are requesting this, and I would challenge Lenoir County to the Lenoir County towns and cities to look at doing the same thing. I mean, it would save money all the way around and generate more involvement.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. Listen, I mean, I spoke to Senator Perry about this. I don't know which interview we're airing first, but it was kind of odd. I thought redistricting only typically happened after census years. So that would have been 2020, then it's 2030. The fact that we're even talking about redistricting just kind of blew my mind. Like, why are we talking about it? What should we expect from it?
Yeah, so we've started the public hearing process. I was in Raleigh just yesterday at a redistricting public hearing where citizens came and made comments, and that was one of the questions a lot of them asked. And it's a result of the Supreme Court basically hired special masters to redraw the last maps, and they were approved, but legislation dictates that you can only use one judicially outside map drawn by somebody else in only one election. So by law we have to redraw these maps. But we're seeking public input now, and we had 3 places that citizens could attend, one in Eastern North Carolina, one in Western North Carolina, one in Raleigh, and one of the comments was, well, you only have 3 places, and it's kind of publicized at the last minute. But we had, I think, 10 meetings the last time, so this is just a continuation of the last map redraw. And so anyway, I see the citizens, they're angst about it, but It's like commissioner meetings and city council meetings. You can have them 24/7, but you're going to get very little participation.
Right. No, only if you were really raising taxes or raising an electric rate or something that people turn out for.
That's right.
So, an interesting thing that was a topic that was tied to the budget this year that haven't really heard a lot about. I mean, I have only because I'm close enough to y'all, but I'm not in the business every day. But the vast majority of the public hasn't heard about this idea of casinos in North Carolina or expanding the number. What can you tell us about how that unfolded and it seemed to die quickly, and what do you expect to happen in the future?
Yeah, so we did some polling. Casinos really didn't move the needle. I mean, they're people that have an opinion about them, they really like them or they really hate them. There's really not much in between, and it kind of came up all of a sudden. I'd heard rumblings about casinos and VLTs and that sort of thing. And, I saw some polling data and I'm like, well, I mean, if it's in the budget, overall the budget's better regardless of if casinos are in there or not. So I'd made up my mind I was going to support the budget because we needed those appropriations. But we caucused about it, and the majority of Republicans didn't want casinos, didn't want to have to vote on it, and that sort of thing. So wiser minds prevailed. We took those out.
Do you think that's going to come up in the short session next year?
I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I expect it to, but I'm not certain. There's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Because if it's not resolved next year, it becomes a campaign issue, not this November, but next year.
That's right. Yeah, and it would generate revenue for the state, major money for the state, where we could fund these rural areas who are lacking in funds, and but I understand the moral debate as well.
I get that.
It's a challenge.
Well, one thing that obviously I experienced as mayor, and you worked alongside me during these years too, is we had some major floods, and don't see that getting any better, except for you and Senator Perry have been at the forefront of some of the conversation on flood mitigation. I know that's something you've been hard at work. Tell us about what the latest efforts. I know there's some money in here for a flood study in Jones, but tell us about flood mitigation in our area. What can you say about that?
Yeah, well, it's an ongoing work in progress. I mean, there's a lot of things happening outside of the building in Raleigh for sure. A lot of players are involved, but the funding was a big issue, and we've got money now that we can actually put to work and help the Adkin branch in Kinston, which has been a major problem, as you know. So hopefully that'll be a kickstart to some future improvements around the area. We know that Highway 70 is a dam. Right. It cuts the county in half, and that's got to be looked at and fixed. And it's going to take a public-private partnership to help mitigate that. So that is an ongoing effort, and I'm a member of the American Flood Coalition. I was appointed by Speaker Moore a few years ago, and actually we were able, when they came to me and they said, we're looking at a project in Kinston.
Right.
I pointed them in a couple of directions, and they ended up choosing Kinston Teens to work on the Emma Webb project. So, so that's coming around and is going to help out a little bit. Well,
we appreciate your efforts on that. Any other topic you want to make sure you mention as you kind of end this session and start working on redistricting and hopefully get into the holiday season a little bit?
I'm just proud to represent Lenoir County. I mean, it's really an honor and a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. Just having a partner like Senator Perry and Representative John Bell and others, it makes a big difference. You can't govern in the minority, and I've tried to listen to my constituents, and I get emails and phone calls all the time. I can't reply to all of them, but I do read them, and I do get the messages, and everybody's not going to be happy all the time, but
right.
I think we've made progress, and we continue to work hard for citizens of this area in rural North Carolina.
Well, we appreciate your service in the House since 2018, and certainly in Lenoir County and Town of LaGrange for a lot longer than that. So we thank you, Chris. Appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Again, this is BJ Murphy with Neuse. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter every morning at 7 o'clock, but also you can catch this interview. We're going to summarize it, transcribe it for you, and put it in the email newsletter that goes out every morning as well. So again, y'all take care. Thank you so much.